Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company, the bank that puts you first. They can meet your banking and financing needs for personal, agricultural, business, commercial, mortgages, and so much more. Visit firstbank.com to learn more.
After 21 unanswered points from the Cardinals, Virginia Tech fell to Louisville on Saturday. We'll recap what happened and talk what's next on episode 450 of the Tech Sideline podcast, which starts right now. We're recording on Monday, November 3rd, 2025 from the Tech Solutions Studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Riley Klaus, and today I'm joined to my left by lead analyst and columnist Chris Coleman. Across the way is our managing editor, David Cunningham. To my right, senior staff writer Andy Bitter, and producing the show behind the scenes, as always, is Mr. Nick Brown. Now, a lot of people are on James Franklin watch. We will get there later in the podcast, but we're going to start by recapping the contest that was between Louisville and Virginia Tech, in which the Cardinals won 28-16. What were the initial takeaways from this contest?
I thought the Hokies hung in there better than I thought they would. Struggled to stop the run, of course. Did a good job against the pass. If you enjoyed the passing game, then this would not have been a good game for you to watch if you're a neutral fan, because neither team distinguished themselves there. Really, I keep going back to those back-to-back plays where Virginia Tech can't quite haul in what probably would have been a 75-yard touchdown pass, and then the very next play, Louisville returns the punt to the 5-yard line. So you go from being up 9 points to losing, just like that. And those are the type of plays you have to make to beat a team like Louisville. But although the real shame of it was that play ended up being the difference in one of the buy or sell questions. Because Virginia Tech only converted 4 third downs. That would have made 5. Oh, well.
As somebody who went 1-4 on buy sell this week, I'm keenly aware of what that throw would have made a difference. Yeah, I mean, you look at this game, it had all the hallmarks of what you need to do to get an upset, right? You get a turnover early in the game that leads to a touchdown. You block a punt that goes out of the back of the end zone for a safety. I mean, basically, you're playing Beamer ball, right? Mm-hmm. This is how you beat teams that are better than you if you don't have the offense to match up with them. I think the thing you needed was like a tide-turning explosive play. There it was. The downfield pass. They have it. Green should have caught it, I think. Throw could have been a little bit better. I think it was kind of drifting a little bit out of bounds, so that even if Green caught it, I don't know if he could have stayed in bounds and gone the whole way. But, I mean, he's 5 yards behind the defense on that play. I mean, if you just put it up and he runs under it, that should be a touchdown every time. And I think they're kicking themselves on the throw. They're certainly kicking themselves on the catch. That was the moment. You catch that, you're up 9. You're still up 2 scores at that point. How's the game play out from there? I mean, the Louisville's passing offense was not great. I know they have a great receiver there. I'm not exactly enamored with their quarterback there. I think he could be down the stretch here. I think he could be a guy that they could lose a game because of him.
SMU.
And really, they have lost a game because of him against UVA earlier this year with the pick 6 he threw in that game, I believe. But yeah, I think they were there with this team. They did the kind of things you need to do to pull an upset there and just couldn't quite pull it off.
The incompletion really reminded me of the Braxton Burmeister to Trey Turner against Notre Dame in 2021. Yes. Yeah, so just over his outstretched fingertips, and that one could have been a touchdown too.
And I think that would have made him a 2-score lead in that game, right?
So maybe.
I think so.
I forget the scenario exactly.
So whatever would have happened late, Notre Dame would have had to do something incredible to come back from that. Mm-hmm. And Louisville still had time in this game. This was early in the third quarter. And the way that the Cardinals were running the ball, perhaps you get the same result. But probably not a 12-point result.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you saw so many other ACC games throughout the weekend. Miami goes down. Georgia Tech went down. And I think Louisville has proven to be one of the better teams in the conference. And I think Hokies had their opportunity, didn't take advantage of it, and the Cardinals just kind of wore them down over time. That running back duo between Brown, Isaac and Kiwan. I mean, they just did a really good job, especially late in the game, of kind of just slamming the door shut. Even when Isaac went down, Kewan stepped up and had that 24-yard run. Louisville set the tone early and Virginia Tech bounced back. I think it's one of these things where you're playing a top 20 team and you can't make little mistakes and you have to take advantage of every opportunity. And if you don't, it's slim margins and it's going to come back to bite you. And if you're Virginia Tech, you can't throw for 76 yards. You have to have more of a passing attack. You have to be more balanced than that. I thought the defense did okay, but at the same time, you can't allow 220, 30 yards, whatever it was, 235, as Nick's graphic shows. So just, it's like one of those where it's like, man, it was close, but that's what happens when you play a really good Louisville team that ultimately has the kind of horses to run away with it at the end.
Yeah, you talked about how the rushing attack kind of closed the door at the end. They also opened the gate with that big play. But then after a couple punts from Virginia Tech, Isaiah Cash forces the interception. They're able to punch it in. That felt like a chance to try to take the lead and really turn the momentum in Virginia Tech's direction early on in the game.
After that long run, I'm just like, wow, this game's going to be worse than we expected.
It was very quick.
Yes.
It was not
the
looking
second play.
great.
Yeah. I'm like, well, this isn't going to go well. But to their credit, I mean, Virginia Tech, ever since, they changed coaches, Virginia Tech has done a good job responding to adversity this year, whether that was to a coaching change itself midseason or to responding to tough situation in games, things like that. It's a much more mentally strong team now than it was early in the season, in my opinion. But in the end, Louisville's, ranked up there in the top 15 for a reason. And Virginia Tech's just missing too many players on the back end, either through opt-out or injuries or whatever.
It was a nice pick by Cash, too. I mean, it wasn't like they just handed it to him. He tracked the guy across the middle and made a nice snag with two hands. And then a nice return after that. I think he got 18 yards on the return. Not just to go down immediately. I mean, this is an offense that needs every bit of help it can get. And I think it took them 9 plays to go from that, wherever they started that drive, only 30-some yards, something like that. So, whatever help you can give the offense to make it a shorter field like that. And he did it. Nice play to catch it. Nice play to return it.
And then they got some help from the special teams. PJ Prelo with that block was certainly an explosive play that really could have turned the tide.
Second block punt of his career.
He blocked one at Pitt in 2022.
That was the last one Virginia Tech
recovered by
had.
Nike Johnson for a safe for a touchdown.
Memory.
Which I think maybe the only highlight for Nike Johnson. I
Probably.
remember, I can't remember a moment that he had that was like that one.
Well, it was certainly the only highlight of that game.
That one was
for
closer.
Virginia Tech.
Was it?
Of the Pitt games, that was closer than
It was
had.
it was like 45-29, I think. But
yeah,
that was
that
the
one got
Israel,
tight there
that's
for a
right.
But that was the
second.
Urbana Canada game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Pitt was dominant, but Virginia Tech kept it close.
That one got close for a moment there, and then it's like, well, every time you give up a 60-yard touchdown run, it's not going to be close in this game.
Yeah.
But Prelo, I mean, it didn't look like there was anything fancy about that block.
It just
I mean,
came off the edge.
They
and-
sort of confused them. They brought him in from the side, and then it's like, okay, what are the blocking assignments? They all kind of crashed to the left, and Prelo just
Right.
came off the edge of the line. It's like, okay, I've got a free run at the punter
His
here.
angle and technique was,
Dave,
was
didn't
perfect.
you say he basically blocked it with his head?
It looked like it looked like on replay that it hit his head.
Yeah.
But I mean, John, I think John Fleming has a great photo of him right there, and yeah, I mean, just it's something that Montgomery, but also Prelo talked about afterwards. That Stu Holt identified it on film, and they're like, if we see this, we're gonna this is what you got to do. And Prelo's like, man, my eyes kind of just lit up, and I'm like, I just got to go make a play here because it's that's something you go for every game, but there are only so many opportunities to actually block a punt. And I mean, Virginia Tech goes up 9-7 after that, and that was a great play. And something about Prelo, just his quickness and he's so multifaceted. Maybe taken after his dad a little bit. That's 2 block punts in his career. I feel like that's something you have to be pretty good at to be able to go do.
You've got to be brave to block a punt. 'Cause
Yeah.
that hurts, man.
Yeah.
brave and smart because you
Yes.
got to come across so you're not hitting the guy if you miss it.
take
They
it off
almost
the
sort of bad luck on that it bounced through the end. I mean, they were at he blocked it like the 20 or 10.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, it
That was
had to
a
go
long
some
bounce.
distance
Yeah.
backwards and then through the end zone for the safety. If that goes out of bounds at like the 3 or something like that, you're in business for a touchdown there. So a little bit of bad luck on just how it got deflected through the end zone like that. But, big special teams play. That's how you pull an upset like that.
It was interesting. So Virginia Tech's like right side, Prelo's coming from the left. Virginia Tech's right side all rushed like the shield, and so the shield was like occupied, and then you just see Prelo running untouched. It's like, all right, that's exactly how you draw it up. I think if you're Virginia Tech.
So Virginia Tech led it 9-7 after 1. Then they were able to get a touchdown drive, which ended in a Cam Selden reception. That was maybe their most efficient offensive. So they went into the half up 16-7.
Yeah, so like Andy said, that first touchdown drive was 9 plays, 37 yards, but it took 4:56 off the clock. Like that's a lot of time for such a short drive like that. The second touchdown drive, they did start with good field position. It was a 8-play, 54 yards, 340.
Was that after Veltsistis like pinned him deep with his punt?
Yeah.
Yes.
He almost blocked another punt there.
Right. So Tech did a good job flipping the field position right there in that situation. They won the hidden yards game, and that got them up 16-7. And that was the halftime lead. And you're like, okay, we know Louisville's gonna make a run on it. So and Louisville started the second half with a touchdown, but that's when Virginia Tech missed their opportunity right after that.
Well, the touchdown there to Selden, they basically ran the same play twice in a row. I don't even know if they changed the play call. It looked like the exact same play, and I like that. Hey, they didn't stop it the first time. Just run it again real quick.
Because who expects you to run the same
They have
play
the
twice
numbers
in a
out
row?
there. I mean, that is a throw that drones can make. Right? I mean, it's just, I pull it and I throw it. He doesn't have to sit there and go through 4 progressions down the field or things like that. You don't need protection to hold up real long. It's a real quick hit pass like that. I like the fact that they didn't get fancy about that thing. They go, well, it worked once. They haven't adjusted to it. It worked again. They got a touchdown.
Well, and the big thing I thought was Virginia Tech had a 3rd and 11, and it was the 2 plays. It was right before the 2 plays to Selden on those screens. 3rd and 11, and Marcellus Hawkins picks up 12 yards. And Virginia Tech only had 4 third-down conversions on the day, but converted a big 3rd and 11, and it was a little kind of swing pass to Hawkins. He skirted around the edge, and it looked like he was only going to get 5 or 6, and he gets 12, and that kind of extended the drive. And as I'm sure we'll talk about later, Hokies had multiple times in the second half where they're in 3rd and long, 3rd and long, 3rd and long, and they weren't not able to convert. That was one where it was they did a good job kind of extending the drive, because it could have very easily been 12 to 7 instead of 16 to 7.
If I know anything about Hawkins, he's good for 7.5 yards per carry. At least. At least he's good for that. So easy play.
Well, let's go to the second half, in which if you just take the second half of the game, it was 21-zip Cardinals. And let's start by what did Louisville do well, and maybe Virginia Tech would need to work on their defense moving forward based on what happened.
I just think you saw them just lean on the running game. That was the first traditional running game that Virginia Tech has faced this year that they didn't stop. Now, of course, Louisville brought a lot more horses to the table than those previous teams in terms of running back talent. Both those guys are really, really good. Isaac Brown led the ACC in yards per carry last year. He's going to lead the ACC in yards per carry again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's not hurt. Seriously.
Yeah.
He went down late in that game. That'd be a shame to see him go down the stretch like this. You say, how does the defense adjust? It's like, don't face running backs as good as Brown and Brown. I mean, those guys were really good. Those are the best pair of running backs I think they've faced this year. I think part of it might just be fatigue a little bit, too. They were on the field 10 minutes in that fourth quarter. Louisville had 99 rushing yards there. I think especially at the end, you saw it just kind of take its toll.
Right.
I know Montgomery maybe pushed back on that thought a little bit in the post game, that fatigue played into it a little bit, but I felt like you were seeing them gash them a bit more at the end on the ground.
And I think some of that's mental too. I mean, you figured out at that point, if you're a defense, it's like, okay, our offense isn't going to score. So even if we stop them,
right. It might be
that
different.
Creeps into your head
it might be
bit.
different if they convert that 4th and 3, and then you have a chance to potentially
Right.
make this a close game. But once they didn't get that, it's like, man, that was a golden opportunity that passed by.
So I wrote about this after the game. The Louisville only had, outside of that long 52-yard run from Isaac Brown in the first half, Louisville only had 40 rushing yards outside of that. So that's huge chunk play. In the second half, it had 143. So you're talking about just night and day. And how good is Isaac Brown? He is the first Louisville player with 300-yard games in a row since Lamar Jackson in 2017, rushing games.
Yeah.
And Lamar, of course, won the Heisman. His yards per carry actually took a slight hit from 8.7 to 8.6 on the season,
terrible.
because he only averaged 8.1
That's a shame
against the
for him.
Hokies.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
that's,
Tech did a better job than everybody else.
the interesting thing though is that, I mean, the duo between those two guys, Keywan Brown averaged 7.8, and it was one of those where Isaac Brown gets hurt with about 5.5, 6 minutes to go in the game, and it's like, well, okay, Keywan Brown inserted, boom, 24-yard touchdown run, just made it look easy. I think at that point, the Hokies were on their heels so much, and Louisville was able to just kind of slowly pull away, didn't have to do anything fancy, just run the ball, kind of churn the clock a little bit.
And a coach like Braum is going to figure it out throughout the course of a game.
Hey, breaking news, by the way. Isaac Brown is out for the foreseeable future. Literally just now. Out for the foreseeable future. So I don't know what that
How
is.
are you going to break
But,
into a
yeah.
podcast where at DEF CON 1 with the coaching search with a
It's
breaking
with the
news?
breaking news.
update?
Yeah, that was-
Yeah, come on now.
I was like,
Manage
oh.
expectations here.
That's
Louisville's, I mean, Duke Watson didn't even play, and he's a great running back. How stacked is that running back room that Louisville has?
They're all
Like,
sophomores, too.
that's incredible. That they
Braum
have
can
all those
recruit,
guys in
man.
the same year. I mean, that's a Jimmy's and Joe's thing.
Right.
Like Braum's a great coach, but they do have some
They
real
do.
dudes at running back.
And
too.
the other thing I'll say is, like, I think if you put the shoe on the other foot, if Virginia Tech was ranked in the top 15 and we were playing a 3-6 football team and they were winning the game by 9 points at halftime, we would be sitting here saying, the Hokies just had to quit making mistakes and they were eventually going to take control of the game, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what Louisville did. They quit making mistakes, and when they quit making mistakes, they were able to get control of the game back.
Yeah, it wasn't anything flashy either. I mean, you're just talking about throwing it to Chris Bell, throwing it to Colin Lacey, just little dump-off passes. Lacey set him up a couple times with some chunk plays on returns. Most punt return yards, 106, that Virginia Tech has allowed since 2013, when it had 106 allowed 106 against Maryland. Again, if you're Virginia Tech, you can't let like special teams be that big of a momentum swing in this game. But if you're, one of those, as Chris just said, Louisville just started running the ball and running the ball effectively. And when you can average 6.9 yards per carry as a team, why not line up and run the ball every single chance you get?
Run the dang ball, man.
And it sounds like Louisville might get Duke Watson back this week. So
Good timing.
Good timing.
I mean, Brown's going to be out. So.
yeah, but
Yeah, we'll talk about the big picture later and maybe what that means for Louisville in terms of winning the ACC, but we've talked about Virginia Tech's defense. Let's flip it to the offense. They weren't able to put up any points in the second half, and what overall do you think was the biggest problem in terms of not being able to get anything to go
They
there?
can't pass the football.
Throw the dang ball.
Right.
Like we already harp on run the dang ball, but you do have to be able to throw it effectively.
7. That's both his career starts against Louisville. He's been below 100 yards passing, right? Yeah.
fewest passing yards for Virginia Tech since the Louisville game in 2023.
Imagine that, yeah. So Virginia Tech is not good at passing the ball to begin with, and then Louisville is also awesome defensively. So you can do the math. Donovan Green, starting wide receiver, has not caught a pass the last 3 games. He won his entire career at Wake Forest. There's only one game he played in where he didn't catch a pass. And all of a sudden he comes to Virginia Tech 3 games in a row without a reception. And there's a number of people that share responsibility for that. But we've talked about it all year. Virginia Tech's passing game just isn't good, and it's not going to be good at this point.
So Virginia Tech's receivers, 11 catches. 2 guys had 3 catches. Jarikus Hairston and Takai Heath. And they had 15 and 16 yards. The leading receiver in terms of yardage was Aiden Green. He had 1 reception for 17 yards. I mean, that's the passing attack. Now, I thought Tech ran the ball okay.
Yeah, for considering Louisville knew that Tech
Yeah.
didn't have a passing strength, you can really focus on the run. So I thought from that standpoint, considering the level of competition and the fact that the other team knows you're not going to be able to pass it, I thought Tech did do a good job in the run game.
I think
Yeah, unless you're like an option offense in this day and age, you've got to be able to throw the ball better than this. I pointed out my 5 thoughts One of my favorite stats is that 2003 upset that Virginia Tech had in Miami. They were 2 for 8 for 44 yards.
One of the completions went for -1 yard.
No, -2 because it was a 46-yard touchdown pass. So
Okay.
the other completion went for -2 yards. But
That's hilarious.
2 completions in an entire game to end a 39 game, I think it was, regular season winning streak for Miami. That doesn't happen in this day and age. Football has changed, and you have to be able to throw the ball. It doesn't have to be the only thing you do, but you have to be able to do it effectively to be able to keep up in these games, and Virginia Tech just can't. And, I know people are going to hammer on Drones about that. He's part of it, but it's protection. It is receivers catching the ball. I mean, how different does Drones' line look if Donovan Green pulls in that long that long catch up the sideline? They're just not, Jerikas Harrison had a great quote afterwards, and he's like, we're just not, he said it to a couple different people, so he had it lined up and ready to go. It's just like, you need all cylinders hitting on the car, and it feels like one cylinder's not working, and then we get that one fixed, and then another cylinder's not hitting. It's like, pretty good. Guy from Martinsville down that way. I mean, he's not that far from the Martinsville Speedway, so he knows his stuff about car cylinders and stuff like that. But I mean, that sort of is a good way to explain the problem that they've had offensively. I think it's a little disappointing if you're a Hokies fan. They bring in Philip Montgomery to fix the passing side of this offense. And, that was the talk of the offseason. Drones is going to become a better passer and the stuff, and it just hasn't looked that way. He hasn't looked comfortable with it. And perhaps that's just sort of what he is, better suited to a Tyler Bone offense where you're, run first, throw off play action. You're not just dropping back all the time and throwing it. I just don't know if that's forte, if it's a, square peg in a round hole type thing. But there's only 3 games left here. I don't know if it's going to get fixed in this last month of the season.
I would say most evident in what Virginia Tech's down and distance was on third down. You look at third down breakdown. Virginia Tech was 3 for 4 on third down, on 3rd and 3 or fewer. 3rd and 4 plus, Virginia Tech was 1 of 11. Yeah. And that one conversion was the Marcellus Hawkins one. I mentioned it earlier. Yeah. Well, I think it was a swing pass.
Oh, you're right. It was.
But it's one of those things where late in the game, Hokies have opportunities, have struggled to throw the ball, and the defense, to its credit, had forced 2 punts in its own territory. And Virginia Tech has 3rd and 9, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a little penalty here or a negative play to start the drive, it's like you just have to be perfect. And margins are so minimal, and it's like this is not a team that can overcome something like that, especially when it can't really throw the ball that effectively.
Do want to point out in the rushing attack that was going to be Jeff Overton's first game as a freshman. They did get him involved in
They did. He dressed the previous game for Cal, but didn't get into it. I think you can play him now because you can play him the rest of the season.
Yeah,
there's still redshirt.
No worry about the redshirt.
Yeah,
there's only 3 games left.
Yeah, so I thought, he didn't get very many yards or anything, but that very first carry, I was like, wow, who was that? Because I thought he showed some acceleration and some burst getting into that hole.
Well, he's got a different skill set. I mean, Stewart is a big, his nickname is Bully for a reason. Hawkins, even though he can move, is a bigger back. I think Overton has an explosiveness to him that a little bit different from what they have in that room. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they work him in a little bit more. Also amazing. I mean, he tore his ACL, I believe,
in the
right before the bowl game.
Yeah.
We happened to see it. That was one of the few times that they let us into practice, and we saw him go down. It's like, that didn't look good there. So the fact that he's back so quickly and working in probably tells you that they have plans for him in the very near future.
Means he's been practicing well too, because you don't just throw a guy in there cold who hasn't been playing all season unless he shows you something.
Especially, there are other running backs. I mean, it's Coney's in that room, Tyler Mason. I mean, there are other guys in that room.
It's not like Coney's never played well for Virginia Tech before, right? He had a good game against Syracuse last year.
Yeah, I mean, and Prelo too, who we've seen do a bunch of different stuff. And he had, it was that game earlier in the season where he had like 11, or he had like 7 or 8 catches, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that Marcellus Hawkins and Terrence Stewart have been as good, to Andy's point, and they still want to get Overton early reps is like, I think that's an interesting sign of things to come, and hopefully next coach can keep him in the fold, because I think that's promising for the running back room going forward.
Yeah. And lastly, to close it out on this game, Andy, you mentioned the cylinders quote. Were there any players on the offense or defensive end that really stood out to you despite the team not being able to win the game as a whole?
Cash, obviously. Generally, I thought Tech's defensive tackles hung in there. The general problem was the edges and like the safeties and run fits with some linebackers and things like that. And Tech is just so young at those positions, or they've got guys playing out of position. Like just think about Jordan Bass for a second. He was originally going to redshirt as a linebacker for Virginia Tech this year. That was the plan. But coming off that injury at Pitt and he lost so much weight, they were going to redshirt him, try to put the weight back on him and things like that. Now all of a sudden he's a starting safety, and he didn't even move to safety until the preseason. That just shows you how much they've run out of bodies back there. And so it's just a lot of personnel issues they're dealing with on defense. I think the defensive line, particularly the defensive tackles, I don't think most people recognize that those guys are playing well for Virginia Tech this year. It's just you're not covering 2 or 3 different gaps as like a defensive lineman. You've got your gap, that's your assignment. I mean, I even saw like a graphic on Twitter yesterday where people were criticizing the defensive line, and it was all 4 defensive linemen getting blocked. The 2 defensive tackles were getting double teamed, which that's the reason they're getting double teamed is because the other team knows Tech's linebackers aren't going to be in a position to make the play. Right?
And because the tackles are good.
Right. There were 2 holes right there, and there were 2 Tech linebackers right there to go through the holes. They just went through the wrong holes. That wasn't a defensive line problem. And again, Virginia Tech has linebackers that had never played inside linebacker until this year. You've got Noah Chambers, who I'm extremely high on, who has to play as a true freshman, right? And those guys, it's not going to work out this year. As far as that goes, I actually met Noah Chambers' parents at a tailgate on Saturday. They're great people, and I'm very confident he's going to go on to have a very good career. But think about all the count on one hand the number of Tech true freshman linebackers that have played through the years. Is Vince Hall and Xavier Debe redshirted? Tremaine Edmonds only played in 2 games.
Dax came on a little bit end of his freshman year.
Right.
That was like 2018, I think.
Right.
But Noah Chambers he's not just playing a little, he's playing a lot.
Exactly.
And they're relying heavily on him.
It's pretty unprecedented at Virginia Tech. That's you've seen a lot of true freshman corners play, but that's the easiest position in football to play as a true freshman is cornerback. So I think there's plenty of growing up to do there, but I think the Tech defensive line generally, especially the defensive tackles, are playing well. You just can't quite tell it because a lot of other people are inconsistent with their run fits.
Yeah, tackles play well. Cody Heisman had back-to-back stuffs on 3rd and 4th and short. That was pretty well. 2 things I want to bring up in the second half of that game. Why do they keep punting to Colin Lacey? that was rough, man. They are not good at covering punts.
Right.
And that 63-yarder, he just went straight up the gut for like 20 yards, and then cut to the left side and kind of tiptoed his way through 2 guys all the way down to the 5-yard line. That was a tremendous return. He's a tremendous returner. Makes you wonder, like, why are they punting to that guy?
Let's just do some angled punts out of bounds.
Punt it really high and hope to get a fair catch or something like that. This is Virginia Tech's punt return or punt coverage, or people get on my cases. It's called punt protect. It's like, whatever. This is how they cover punts. They're bad at it. 25.5 yards per return this year. That's second worst nationally. Florida State's worst at 26. They've only allowed 1 punt return, Florida State. So it's 1 for 26. Virginia Tech has allowed 10. So this has been, I looked this up in the last 10 years. There's been 1 team, I think it was New Mexico in 2023, that had 10 plus returns and allowed more than 20 yards per return. So this is like historically bad, what they've been on getting down and getting guys on the ground. The Vicari Swain return in the opener turned the tide of that game. This return turned the tide of this game. Georgia Tech fooled them with that double returner thing, and then they took it back 42 yards, scored a touchdown early in that one. This has been a problem all season for this team, and I don't know why they can't quite get their arms around this thing.
And it's a double problem because they have to punt so much.
It's true.
Right?
It wouldn't be as and some of them. Nick Valsistis had a 68-yarder at one point that it's not all bad. Tech pinned him at the 2-yard line early in the first half, but at the same time, it's one of those where it's like what was the quote that Pry I think said about Valsistis at the beginning of the year? It's like
for every 4 good ones, it's like 1 shank. Or
yeah,
something like
and it feels more like. It's kind of like 50-50 where he'll have a good one and like Tech will put the defense in a good position, and then like next one comes back and Tech allows a 20-yard return.
At this point, a few more shanks might be helpful.
I feel like the special teams is like whack-a-mole. Like you get something good and then something bad pops up somewhere else.
It's the cylinder.
You block the punt, then you give up the big punt return coming back like that. I mean, it's just it's a rough look for this. And the other thing I was curious about, that 4th and 3 late, it feels like that is their go-to play. It's the Rutgers play, right? Yeah, they fake the handoff. They try to slip the tight end underneath and typically have a deeper option on that thing. Before it was the Rutgers play, it was they ran that basically in the goal line against North Carolina in 2018.
Yep.
Right, and they had high-low options, and
that was the Cornelson special back then.
Willis pulls it, rolls right, and I think he hit Dalton Keene short for the touchdown.
Cunningham caught a bunch of those.
I think they essentially ran that in the 2-point conversion when they completed the Hazel. I want to say it was Hazleton or something like that too. Similar look, I want to say. It felt like in that situation, going, man, they're going to go to that Rutgers play, aren't they? They're going to do it, and they did it, and Louisville was all over it. I mean, they were all over it sort of earlier, and Drones made a good play to like sort of flick it out to Hairston to get the first down. This one they had Hairston covered, and Drones had no choice but to run it. But I think Montgomery in the post game took a little. It's like maybe that could have been a better play call by me, so he's putting it on himself. But it felt a little predictable there, which maybe you have to be if you don't have the offensive skill set through the air to do a bunch of unique things. You have to rely on your bread and butter there.
I love how as bad as Rutgers has been offensively the last few years, I love how they now have a play named after them.
I mean, you run it successfully 12 times in one game against the same defense. That's the Rutgers play. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah. The helmets look good.
Yeah. They didn't quite match the
shade of maroon was different.
Yeah. I think it would look better at night.
Probably.
But I think that's always the issue you run into with the helmets is like, that doesn't quite look the same with the uniforms. But it was nice. It was a nice change of pace from what they usually do. Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, so a different look for them, and we want to start doing something this week. Nick, if you're ready for it, let's take a look at what the photo of the game is for this contest between Virginia Tech and Louisville.
Yeah, let's pull it up here. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Oh, man, it's not popping up now. Of course it's not. Well, they can see it. They can see it. It's the picture is Pearson Prelude and PJ hugging it out after the game. Ivan got a great picture. It was right after the block punt, and I just thought that was. Oh wait, here I got you. There you go, guys. Yeah, and I just thought it was really cool. Right after the block punt, just a cool picture that Ivan. I mean, just following PJ over to the sideline. I sent it over to PJ. PJ, of course, was very grateful for it, and I know his dad's probably going to even be more grateful. It would not surprise me if his wife goes out and prints it and and frames it somewhere. No that's just a special picture right there.
It's going to be hanging up in their basement or something.
I mean, that's
their movie theater or whatever they have in Radford.
Well, yeah, and I tell you what, man, like PJ, he just like makes plays. Like, I mean, think back to like last year before he gets injured, he had that big run against Miami, phantom holding called back. This year, a game earlier in the year where he caught like 6, 7, 8 passes. And he's blocking punts, and it's like this dude. The offense is so hit or miss that I think it's hard to like get a guy like him in a rhythm because it's not like he's the number 1 or number 2 back, but he can just like do a bunch of things. And like I'd be interested to see, assuming he sticks around, like what the next coaching staff can kind of utilize a guy like that, little jitterbug type of guy.
Well, that's a great picture. Tech Sideline making memories happen out here. And let's now, to close out the discussion, go to some numbers from the game, which we may or may not want to remember going forward.
Well, I'll start with this. Virginia Tech finally got a red zone stop because Louisville took a knee inside the 20.
Take them any way you can get them.
That was Virginia Tech's first red zone stop of the entire season.
Nice.
Game in victory formation.
Comes through mercy.
Here's a positive one. Virginia Tech's offensive line did not allow a sack. The Hokies had a 22-game streak of allowing at least 1 sack. And this goes back to previous long it had a 24-game streak from 2018 to 2020. So no sack given up for the Hokies. Maybe one of the most positive things the offense did all day. This was, and Scott says, speaking of this, and I don't know, I didn't do the ad read, did I? This is Stat Time with Scott Glesner, presented by Tyrus Holmes. Sorry about that. Speaking of which, since 1985, this was the 13th time that Virginia Tech did not allow a sack or lose a turnover. In those 13 games, Virginia Tech is 11-2. Both losses were against Louisville.
Are you serious? I was going to say, so you get a turnover, you block a punt, you don't turn the ball over yourself.
And you don't get sacked.
And you don't get sacked. 9 times out of 10, you win.
Recipe for success.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other loss was in 1992, 21-17
Well, it was
against
1992.
Louisville. Yeah. No points for Virginia Tech in the fourth quarter equates to another loss to Louisville. Scott says the Hokies are 0-4 against the Cardinals when not scoring a point in the fourth quarter. Virginia Tech has been outscored this season by 48 points. In 2022, Virginia Tech was outscored by 60. You have to go back to 1988, where Tech was outscored by more, and that was 88. 88-point margin.
Yeah, even the 2018 season, they had that big win against William & Mary early in the season. So I think that adjusted the point differential. I don't think the ACC was kind to them in terms of point differential that year.
This was the second time Virginia Tech had a 2-score advantage this season at halftime and lost. Vanderbilt was the other one. This is the first time it's happened multiple times in a season since 1998.
Wow.
When the Hokies had 3 painful losses to Temple, Syracuse, and Virginia.
They were up like 17-0 on Temple. Yeah, they were up 17-0 on Syracuse.
and Virginia.
God.
This is only the 15th time on record Virginia Tech has lost with a 2-score advantage at halftime. Virginia Tech only averaged 3.2 yards per pass attempt, the fewest since the last game against Louisville in 2023, which was 3.1.
It's telling that it was worse than the Tulane rain-soaked Military Bowl.
Yes.
Waterlogged ball, rain coming down from all directions, wind going everywhere, and they threw the ball better in that game than they did against Louisville.
You couldn't ask for better late October weather.
Right,
exactly.
It was great tailgating weather, I'm sure.
It sure was. Yeah.
Before that, the last time Virginia Tech had that low of a pass yards per attempt average was against Alabama in the 2013 opener, which was 2.3 yards per pass attempt.
So many drops.
That
so
was
many
rough.
drops in that game.
Yeah, they got the jugs machine out for the receivers in short order in that game. That game was basically one long Trey Edmonds touchdown run and then a bunch
of special teams plays.
Tech
did outgain them.
Neither team got the 200 yards in that game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember all the Alabama fans like, what's going on? This is terrible. Like, that was pretty good defense for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Terrible offense. Pretty good defense.
Yeah, it was good defense.
Here's the last stat. This is the first time since 1978 that Virginia Tech has been shut out at home in the second half of multiple games this season. Vanderbilt was the other one. 1978, the Hokies had an 18-7 loss to Auburn and a 28-0 loss to Kentucky, and were shut out in both of the second halves in those games. 25th time all time in Lane Stadium it's happened.
Let's get that schedule back. Bring Auburn back in
Auburn,
here.
Kentucky.
Get some
there you
new
go.
blood in here playing interesting games.
That's
One coachless Kentucky's still probably going to come open even after they beat Auburn. But Auburn's open
Maybe
now.
that's a big buyout on Stoops.
Is it really?
I think so. I think that's why they were so eger to try to pawn him off on Virginia Tech.
Probably so.
All those fans are like, "Are you sure you don't want him? He's a pretty good coach."
622 North, baby. So that's Stat Time with Scott Glesner, presented by Tyrus Homes. Hopefully there are more positive stats. But I guess we won't have another stat time this week because it's a bye week, or open week.
Yeah, we'll hope for some good ones in the next one. We're going to have a message from one of our sponsors from Tech Sideline before coming back after the break. This Tech Sideline video comes to you from the Tech Solutions studio. Tech Solutions, located in Arlington, Virginia, provides specialized CETA engineering and financial advisory services to the Department of Defense and Intelligence community. Based on the philosophy of only hiring the best of the best, we pride ourselves on being customer and mission focused. A Washington Post top workplace winner in 2024 and 2025, we're always looking for talented and motivated individuals to join our team. Visit techsolutionsva.com/careers to learn more. That is techsolutionsva.com/careers. Alrighty, well, let's continue the discussion for what's next for Virginia Tech and beyond. First of all, Virginia Tech is going to have an open week next week, and it feels like we almost just had one, and they already have another one at this point in the season.
It's weird to have two in the same half of the season like that. They kind of almost stack on top of each other. Now, Virginia Tech's injury report right now is shorter than it was earlier in the season, probably because they had a bye week, and I would expect it to be maybe a little bit shorter next week, but not sure the buys matter too much now. It's actually almost frustrating because I'm like, I just want to get to the end of the season as quickly as possible to see who the next coach is going to be.
Right. Yeah, I think you want those off weeks spread out. You're like, all right, it's November to remember here. Key it up in the right spot. It's like, well, they'd have to win out to make a bowl game at this point. I'll admit it, halfway through that Louisville game, I'm like, could they sneak into a bowl game here?
Scenarios.
Like, Florida State's not that great. Miami, they kind of pack it in sometimes in November. Virginia has a history that is tough to ignore when you look at UVA there. But then, they let this one slip away, and it goes, okay, put that out of mind. Don't have to make any kind of travel plans in late December.
I'm okay with open week because we get basketball this week.
That's right.
so this sets up okay.
I hope you have Peacock so you can watch the game on Saturday.
I do have well, of course.
I know you have it. I'm talking about regular.
Yeah, I have Peacock.
Most people don't. So.
Sorry about your loss the other day.
I know you are. We can't score against anybody.
My team, Chelsea, beat Chris's team, Tottenham, the other day. So
my team can't score on anybody. Could be several teams that you're talking about that you root for.
Twins, Vikings,
all my
Badgers.
teams won the previous weekend, and they all lost this weekend. Ugh.
Gosh, well, better luck in the future there for Virginia Tech. They'll have that open week. Then their next game is down at Florida State in a few weeks. So we'll have everything you need to know ahead of that. But now as we talk about the coaching search for Virginia Tech, James Franklin this weekend has been the name. Any thoughts on what's been going on recently?
I mean, I think he's their number one target. I mean, I think that's clear. From what we understand, this isn't just agent talk of Jimmy Sexton leaking a name or whatever like that. Virginia Tech's interest is legitimate. He has the option to be Virginia Tech's head coach if he wants to be. We've heard Tech has met every demand. It would still be, like Andy said, unprecedented for a coach to accept an offer this early in the process. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying he's not going to be Tech's next head coach. It would be, you wouldn't go to Vegas and bet on it happening this week, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on it today.
Right.
Maybe this looks foolish once this podcast comes out later today. I got a class to teach at 4, and so help me God if any news on this comes out after 4 o'clock.
Oh, it's going to be during the basketball.
Very angry about that.
Great.
We'll see. I mean, the ball's in his court from the sound of it. I think from Virginia Tech's perspective, it has a lot more urgency, or would like to wrap this up more than perhaps Franklin would or his agent would. Mm-hmm. If this doesn't happen, then Virginia Tech maybe moves on and starts talking to some other people. I don't think that means the deal is dead.
Right.
I don't think he, out of spite, he would be like, no, we're moving on and this offer is rescinded and nobody can accept it. Like, James Franklin would still be a pretty good result to this coaching search. So I think he would leave that open. The other side of it is I don't know if Franklin or his agent feel like they need to be strong-armed into making a decision now. There's still time in this whole process. And again, there are other jobs that could come open. See how that thing plays out. Auburn just came open. I don't know if that becomes a possibility at all, or if that becomes just a leverage point for Jimmy Sexton. It's like, all right, look at his chops here. That's like another opportunity to put some coaches' names out there. We'll see. I mean, head on a swivel time, right? Do we have any breaking news, Nick? No breaking news on this one. Okay. I don't know. Stay glued to the website. Stay glued to Twitter and things like that.
Yeah, I think maybe like David, you should go camp out at the airport. I'll go to the bar at 6:22.
No. I'll camp out. I'll camp out at Wikiteria.
There you go.
Because it's across from the airport.
Right.
I'll sit outside, have my binoculars.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to 622.
I'll go to
Auburn Hills Golf Club.
There you go.
Hang out there.
Nick, you can go.
We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this. I'll let anybody know if anybody comes in and lands. Man.
Riley, you can monitor Flight Tracker. David, there's a plane landing in 5 minutes. Get your binoculars.
Well, you saw we have an addition to Flight Tracker with the Hugh Freeze thing. Is
golf?
He canceled his Sunday golf out there. And like, well, that's it. It's over with. We've reached new levels of coaching.
He had like a 1:30 tee time, and somebody was like, "Oh my God, he's no longer on the tee time."
Well, it was the university club that he was going to golf at. So they're like, well, if he's not golfing at the university club, they must have fired him at this point.
And then they fired him.
Mm-hmm. Also, check your Twitter sources out there. We don't need another fake Bill Roth gaining
I feel bad
steam
for
out
Bill.
there.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, just look at the handle, folks, before you retweet something like that.
Or write a story about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like some names out there. They're very similar, like, Pete Nakos. There's like Pete Nokos, Nocas, or something like that. Or I'm sure there's some slight alteration of a Pete Thamel account out there. Don't be that guy. Don't fall for it.
Thamel's the easiest one to fall for.
Yeah.
Of all of them.
Don't be that guy. And hey, go out there. Maybe talk to your parents about it too, because I think they're more susceptible to some of these situations. We don't need it happening.
Well, the boards, as soon as the Bill thing happened, I went on the boards because I was like, I know people are going to be freaking out. It's like, nope, false alarm. Don't worry. It's a troll account. And people are like, what is a troll account? I'm like, okay,
my God,
go back under your rock.
I talked to Bill at the game. He's like, I've never gotten so many text messages in my life in the immediate aftermath of that fake tweet. That's like, for the sake of people that are being impersonated out there, let's not screw this up.
I had a fake Chris Coleman account one time. It's way back when Seth Greenberg was still the coach.
Okay.
Bill Roth texted me. He said, "What's up with that tweet?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That thing you just tweeted to me and Seth Greenberg." And I'm like, I didn't tweet anything to you and Seth Greenberg.
He like shows it to you and you're like, that's not me.
I went and looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's my picture, but that's not me.
I had one a while ago that was instead of Andy Bitter VT, it was Bitter Andy. And it was just my pictures. Like, I feel like that could actually be a clever parody account if somebody wanted to do that, but nobody ever did anything with it.
You just gave thousands of people an idea.
Yeah. Somebody's going to. Don't do it. You're not as clever as you think you are with those fake accounts.
Yeah. I think the toughest part here now is like Virginia Tech fans are going to have to, you gotta be patient. And as we've talked about, like coaching searches aren't meant to go go this long. Like it's usually supposed to be, okay, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, boom, you're done. And we're like, it's November 3rd. It's been almost 2 months. It's like, it's dragging. Fans are getting antsy and you hear stuff and it's like, oh man, like what's actually going to happen? And it's whatever happens is going to require a little bit more waiting. But yeah, I think Virginia Tech's a little bit desperate. Franklin Sexton, maybe not so much, and we'll just see where it goes. But there are going to become more jobs open, and which opens up potentially other opportunities for leverage, and that's the most difficult part, I think, if you're Virginia Tech.
I know. I actually think Tech should stand pat on their offer with the Auburn job opening up. Looked it up this morning, and apparently the SEC schools have only hired 3 fired coaches before. And one of those was Lane Kiffin, who went through the Nick Saban School of Coaching Rehabilitation. Sure. Right?
Well, from the sounds of it, Tech has made a very generous offer.
Yes.
And at a certain point, you don't want to be house poor. If you overspend on the head coach and it's $10, $11, $12 million, it's like, well, what do you have left for coaching staff, NIL, all the other things? Like, I know Tech is trying to pump a lot of money into this whole thing, but there's a certain point where he's like, I think you're paying your head coach enough here. That's to quote offer. Will Wade, that's a strong ass offer that they made in this whole thing. Yeah. Perhaps just kind of stick with it and see how it plays out.
Yeah, if he doesn't pick Virginia Tech, it's not going to be because Virginia Tech didn't offer to compensate him fairly. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, and it's not that Virginia Tech didn't go all out either, because from everything we've heard, the Hokies have. And I think the other part of it is, at some point, if you're the Hokies, you have to do your due diligence and continue to move along with the coaching search and interview other candidates and evaluate, because you have to have other plans. You can't just put your blinders on and go, all right, we're going all in on this guy, and if it doesn't work, did you just screw yourself?
Well, there's not just one savior out there.
Correct.
There's a lot of good football coaches.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for varying prices, man. I still keep coming back to, I think Bob Chesney's a really good football coach. And if that's the ultimate outcome that the Hokies get for their head coach, I think they will have done well.
I actually think
even though it's not going to grab the headlines that James Franklin
it would not grab the headlines.
Diaz.
I think Manny Diaz is number 2.
Yeah. I was impressed with his coaching last week. They went 5 for 5 on 4th downs against Duke.
Against Clemson?
Against Duke. Against themselves. Against Clemson. Go for 2 at the end to win it like that. I remember a couple years ago when Diaz was at Miami and they were down 14 to Virginia Tech. And they did the thing where they scored a touchdown. They went for 2. They got it. So they're down 6 at that point. So another touchdown wins it. They go down and score a touchdown, and then they miss the extra point. Oh, yeah. It's just like, you got to be kidding me. And then Hendon comes down the other way, and Tech ends up winning that thing late. But it's like he's got that mindset as a coach. I like some of the things he does.
I've talked to a couple people who have met him, and they said the thing that strikes you about him is just he's incredibly smart. Just a really smart human being.
Oh, he had a raw deal at Miami, too.
Yeah, he did.
And you saw it this week. He has a better winning percentage than Cristobal has at Miami.
Right.
And they fired him. They got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miami's something. But yeah, I think you just got to continue to do your due diligence if you're Virginia Tech and wait and see. It's a waiting game, and I know Virginia Tech fans hate to hear that.
So in summary, be careful what you're reading on the internet, and we have the detectives on the case here.
Even though we're an internet site, be careful what you read. On the internet.
But we start talking about some other teams in the ACC. It was a crazy weekend last week in terms of football with two of the top teams. Georgia Tech falls to NC State, and Miami falls to SMU in overtime. Where does the conference stand now after all this shakeup in terms of who's on top, and maybe does it affect
who's
the
on,
playoff chances?
who's on top?
We were
Virginia's on top.
We thought that we had gotten rid of Coastal Chaos, and like, no, he just expanded to the entire league. This is what happens. I mean, that NC State didn't have Hollywood Smothers or Justin Jolly, and they put up, what was it, 48 on Georgia Tech.
I knew that Georgia Tech defense is not good.
I mean, incredible upset there. And Dave Dorn getting it done under fire this week, and he's like, I didn't even like coaching last year's team. They were a bunch of jerks and stuff like that. It's like, man, this is going south quickly here, and then comes up with one of his biggest wins.
Yeah.
Miami losing to SMU, maybe could have seen that coming. SMU coming up a loss. Miami has been known to pack it in November. If they're not in the race, no team packs it in quite like Miami does in November. Some interesting games at the end of the year. Virginia Tech and Pitt. Cold weather back-to-back like that. It could be very interesting with the Hurricanes, how they do. And then, can't deny it, UVA at the top. All-time cover, by the way. All-time cover.
God. Andy and I are watching this in the press box. I don't know if you saw. Cal throws a pick six in the final minute of the game, so UVA covers.
What was the line?
The line was UVA minus 5.5.
Minus 5.5.
So it was a three-point game.
UVA's down there at the end. 3-point game. They could kick a field goal to go up 6. They choose not to. We're like, yes, they didn't choose to do that. Don't score a touchdown here. They go for it. They don't get it. So Cal gets the ball with how much? Less than a minute left, something like that.
Seconds.
And I said it. We're watching in the thing. This is our game of the week and our pick'em. So I'm not financially invested in this, but you like to win the pick'em. And I'm sitting there going, well, as long as they don't throw a pick six here, we're in the clear. Like 5 seconds later, they throw the pick six. I audibly in the press box. This is after everybody's gone. Basically, I'm like, no, you are kidding me. This is the only way they could have lost this cover here is to give up the pick six. And I'm like, selfish play of that UVA guy to score a touchdown there. Just go down and take a knee. Don't need to have it.
So I think it's so funny that UVA's only loss is to NC State in a non-conference game.
Doesn't count. Yeah.
Right. That's the most ACC thing I've ever heard. And how about NC State with their 2 top 15 wins this year?
UVA and Georgia Tech.
UVA and Georgia Tech are 16-2, and the 2 losses have been to NC State.
Right.
A team that Virginia Tech beat with an interim coach.
Exactly.
Figure this conference out.
Right. Exactly. And I thought Georgia Tech was due for a loss because they should have lost
to Wake.
They should have been down 17-0 to Duke. I watched that game. In the end,
there was a fumble on like the goal line. Right?
Yeah, and then it was 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line, and Duke was going to go for it on a 4th down. They got a false start and had to kick a field goal instead. Right, so it was a bunch of things like that happened early in that game where Duke was outplaying them like crazy. So I think Georgia Tech was riding their luck a little bit. UVA's probably next because they've been riding their luck a little bit.
UVA's schedule is shrinking though, man.
I know. It's like favorable.
Wake, that Duke game,
Wake
I think, and then
really
Duke.
They always beat Duke, but
they do. But I mean, they don't have a loss yet.
Right.
So even if they lose one and all of a sudden they get into that tiebreaker mess, which, I mean, there are 5 teams with 1 loss right now behind it. This could be very interesting coming down the stretch. They could still be in really good shape, even if they lose one. I mean, got to beat Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. Of all the years that you're UVA, they've lost, 19 of 20 against Virginia Tech?
Yeah, something like that.
You can't slip up in that one at the end of the season. I mean, I'm looking at these 1-loss teams, though. Like, we saw Louisville, very solid team. I think that quarterback, I wonder if he's going to come through in all these games down the stretch. Pitt really intrigues me. They have not beaten anybody really all that great in this run, but since they moved to this freshman quarterback, this offense has been really sharp, and they've been putting up big numbers. I think Duke intrigues me. Mm-hmm. Very strong quarterback. Defense didn't do great against Clemson. Clemson put up, what was it, 40?
Didn't see that.
It was like 46-45.
Yeah. I mean, that was a shootout in that game. But again, I like Manny Diaz as a coach. I like their quarterback and the potential they have there. I mean, this could be a very interesting race down the stretch.
Yeah, Pat Narduzzi's maybe the most underappreciated coach in the country. I mean, he's done a great job at Pitt. I think if you go back like over the last 10 or 12 years, He's probably got the second best winning percentage, maybe of ACC, or the second most wins in the ACC besides
Dabo.
I mean, we talk about Clemson, Florida State, and how much has dominated the ACC all these years. Pitt won the conference there one year. The Kenny Pickett years. He's incredible. Didn't parlay that to NFL success, but Narduzzi has an ACC championship in there. That's pretty impressive. Yep.
It's going to be crazy coming down the stretch, and it's funny because all eyes are going to be on UVA. I was surprised how bad Florida State blew out Wake.
Just never know what you're getting from Florida State, can you?
And never know what you're going to get from. I mean, Wake's defense.
Wake UVA is the game to watch this weekend. That's a really interesting one. Because if UVA can get past that one, it's like, man, I think they're like the ESPN analytics or whatever. They're like 74%. I don't know how they calculate this, that they're going to make the ACC title game or something like that. But if they don't slip up against Wake at home. And Wake's not great. They don't have a lot of offensive firepower. Their defense is pretty salty out there. But if they can get past that, I think they got a pretty good shot here.
Then they would have Duke and an open week, and then Virginia Tech to end the year. UVA.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's sort of just like a blessed season. Like UVA's had a lot of close games. They've been, credit to them for finding ways to win close games. But what was it, like an inch? Against
fumbling over
North
the goal
Carolina,
line and then an inch in overtime.
2 defensive touchdowns against Louisville. I know it didn't count in the ACC standings, but Washington State gave that game away at the end of that one.
Florida State in overtime.
Florida State in overtime when the guy catches it 6 times in the end zone, but didn't actually catch it to secure it in that whole thing. Sometimes you just sort of have those magical seasons where you win a bunch of close games like that, and they've gotten to the point where they're 8-1.
Yeah.
What a great season.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're getting towards the end of the regular season in ACC football. As we're wrapping up towards the end of this podcast, men's basketball is starting their season today against Charleston Southern. What are you looking to see in the first game for the Hokies this year?
I want to see how cohesive they are offensively when you bring, and it might be hard to tell against Charleston Southern, who knows, but I think when you have so many new pieces together in a Mike Young offense, you're probably not going to hit the ground running offensively. The good news is they should be better defensively this year and on the boards, so that should get them over the hump, so to speak, until they can gain a little bit more chemistry.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Amani Hansberry. The only time we've gotten to see him live was the exhibition, and he fouled out in 12 minutes. Yeah. And it's like Hokies need him to have a bigger presence. I'm curious to see when he gets into the offense and he is facilitating and the way, I forget the word Mike Young used to describe him. He's
a facilitator, I think is what.
Yeah, maybe that's
or connector.
A connector. Yes, thank you. How Hansberry kind of fits into all of this. Neoklis of Dallas, this is his debut. So much hype around him. He was kind of quiet in that exhibition. I'm curious, if he finally finds a little bit of a rhythm. And first college game, how does he hit the ground running? Is he kind of cautious in the way he's facilitating? I'm just very interested to see how all these pieces just come together and what it looks like. And they've got Charleston Southern today. Saturday, they're up at the Mohegan Sun to play Providence. So I mean that'll be a pretty good early season test. So they're we've got a lot to watch for this week, and exciting that basketball's finally here.
Right, so basketball is back once again, an open week for football. And with that, is there anything special coming up on TechSideline.com?
I'll have a coaching search article this week, I think.
Will we have a coaching hire article this week?
Yeah, so that's kind of determined.
There might be one written up, just ready to go in case it happens.
Just in case.
We'll see.
So we're sort of playing it by ear.
Who would you preview this week?
Probably Shane. Just to get some people riled up.
Yeah. Well.
Shane is going down fighting, man.
Oh, yeah.
Fired Mike Shula, offensive coordinator, who, by the way, Chris was absolutely correct about before the season.
Hated that hire.
We got so much bad talk from the Gamecocks fans, he coached Cam Newton and went to a Super Bowl and all this stuff.
Good for him.
Wasn't a great hire, and it's proved. So he's fired the offensive line coach and now the offensive coordinator.
Right.
He's kind of surprised maybe he didn't do that at the end of the year. You do that as okay, give me another year. I'm going to change this up, but He's doing it now. We'll see if it makes a difference.
If you read some of his lips during the game the other day, I think you shared
I
that
did.
clip. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's just like, I can't take this anymore. I need to see something else.
Right.
Yeah. Man, that August 31st game feels like a long time ago now.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Nick for, is there anything on audio video for this week?
Yeah, big time interview tomorrow. You'll see that pop up. We had Duffy last week. Was that last week?
Yep.
Yeah, so of course they have their first game tomorrow against Towson. So if you want to go back and watch that was a lot of fun. It'll be a light week audio-visual wise because of course, the bye week. But we should have maybe some basketball stuff later this week as well. I definitely want to talk about the games and preview the game on Saturday. And yeah, light week, bye week. It's fun. Last bye week, I cleaned out the office with the construction with Will. This week, I don't know what I'm going to do.
You hung lights.
Yes, that is true.
forgot
Yes,
this
yes.
morning.
Look at David, everybody. Look at David.
It's like I got
Yeah.
a spotlight on me now.
Get your sunscreen on over there.
Hey, we'll have it talking with Teal this week, of course, too, and that's always great. I think everybody. I think people like I had multiple people. I went over and went to a family's tailgate before Saturday's game, and I had like 3 or 4 people come up to me and go, "We love talking with Teal so much," and I'm like, "Yes, keep watching. We love doing it."
Yeah, there you go. Keep watching on YouTube as well. Check out the website. Well, thank you for watching this episode, number 450 of the Tech Sideline podcast. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend if you haven't already. I'm Riley Klaus, and for Chris Coleman, David Cunningham, Andy Bitter, and Nick Brown behind the scenes, I'm saying so long for now.